Ryan, with the expected, I even commented on our Thursday night preview video. We almost got that game to a T, basically, with the
Yeah,
Panthers
yeah.
would just dominate the Texans if they had one solid drive, as we kind of mentioned that Davis Mills did in his start, or not his start, but when he came in to replace
Mhm.
injured Tyrod Taylor from the week before. They had that at the end of the second half. Other than that, the Panthers defense absolutely shut them down. And they, as of right now, and I'm not expecting either the Eagles or the Cowboys defense to surpass them on this because we're recording on Monday night when the Monday night football game is going on now. They have the number one
Yeah,
ranked defense
yeah.
based off yards per game, points allowed per game. Actually, not points allowed per game. It looks like Denver is actually beating them on that. Shout out New York Jets, but they have allowed the
I was
least
gonna
amount
say
of
it
yards
helps
per
that both
game.
those teams have played the New York Jets.
It does help that both those teams have played the New York Jets, but they still like as a squad they look really good. And now
Yeah.
Chris McCaffrey, he's going to miss a little bit of time. It looks like he would just tweak the hammy a little bit. Probably going to rest
Mhm.
him in their upcoming game, and I think that they're playing the. Let me see here. I think it's the division game. I think they might be playing the Saints. Anyways, but that JC Horn did go down as well with a broken foot. He might be
Yeah.
done for the season. But all in all, though, they look very solid. The offense looks like they are in sync. They did actually just made a trade
Mhm.
today with I think it was the Jaguars. They traded for cornerback C.J. Henderson to help with some of their
Oh.
cornerback depth. Yeah, they traded
Mhm.
Dan Arnold,
That's a good one.
their tight end. So that being said, I think they're making all the right moves. Their offense looks in sync. Sam Darnold looks in control, and they could absolutely be a threat to the Buccaneers and winning that division.
Yeah, no, I think the Panthers look really good. I was very happy with their offseason moves of acquiring Sam Darnold. I think that
Mm-hmm.
was a huge upgrade for them in the quarterback position. But really, what's more impressive for me is their ability to kind of dominate the line of scrimmage so far this season on both sides of the
Yeah.
football. I mean, I know for a fact that they have to be top five in sacks, but they honestly could be leading the league in sacks. I know
I'll
they
look it
sacked
up.
Jameis Winston uh, 5 or 7 times. I know they were in Sam Darnold's grill and they hit Davis Mills a lot in the second half. So I've been very impressed with what the Panthers have done, and Sam Darnold looks great. His connection with DJ Moore has really helped out my fantasy roster so far. And yeah, I mean, like you kind of said in the beginning, we kind of nailed this game to a T. It
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of it went down exactly how we expected. So
Yeah, and is I think they did benefit a little bit that Tyrod Taylor was hurt because it made their
yeah,
game plan. Even two dummies like us could kind of predict that
yeah.
the Texans really didn't have too much of a game plan, and Davis Mills wasn't really set up for that much of success. But not to take anything
Mm-mm.
away from that, even then,
No, yeah.
and I was mistaken. They're playing Dallas Cowboys next week, and I still think they're going to have some cornerback issues, and see how well that helps out with them. But they can get after the quarterback, and even without Christian McCaffrey, Cowboys have a weak defense, one of the weaker defenses in the entire league.
Yeah.
So they could easily move the ball. That receiver tandem of DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. Sam Darnold has a lot of options to throw to, and Chuba Hubbard hasn't been a disappointment either,
Mm-mm.
to say the least. So
No.
I could honestly see them going 4-0. I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be in Dallas, and they're going to have to put up some points. But it's not.
Mhm.
That is not a insurmountable task for that team. So,
Yeah, no, definitely.
mhm.
But up next, kind of on the expected segment, is Justin Fields. So we talked a little bit about him last week, and we thought he would struggle. And this Browns defense is very good. They obviously Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett. They just drafted Greg Newsome to go across from Denzel Ward, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
pretty sure that's it. Yeah,
One of those Ohio State corners. But yeah, so I'm sure you guys have seen the memes of it by now, but he totaled 1 net yard if you incorporated all of his sack yards into his stats. I think he was Let me see.
He was 6
Yeah,
for 20
yeah,
with
6 for 20.
68 yards. He was sacked 9 times for 67 yards. He had a QBR of 6, or I guess a rating of 41.3. I'm not sure exactly how that works.
Yeah,
He only had 3 carries for 12 yards
yeah,
throughout.
and
So,
and some of that is just that offensive line is decimated. I
mhm.
mean, you cannot give Justin Fields the blame for that going against that defense in his first start. It's just
Yeah.
it's not fair. I don't think everybody should be just jumping on Matt Nagy either, but I think there's blame to go around for everybody in that situation.
Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks,
Yeah,
and Jadeveon Clowney in this game alone doubled his total from last year. So, yeah,
yeah.
it's I don't know. It's obviously it's easy to blame. It's like I don't blame Justin Fields at all. I think this
I
kind of
don't blame any one particular
proves.
person solely. I think
Yeah,
I think
if
everybody could have
anything,
done a better job.
I will say if anything, this proves that not one guy can come in and be a savior for the team.
Oh yeah, no,
It is a
100%.
full 53-man team mission to go and be successful
Hmm.
and to win games, win championships. And we're going to get to Zach Wilson here shortly. But when the man that is considered the savior of a franchise has no protection, has no help, it's not like he doesn't have weapons to throw to either. Um, but
No, yeah,
or David Montgomery is not a legit um, I'd
running
say,
option.
yeah, running option. But you can't just put all the blame on one guy. I guess Matt Nagy could take a little bit of the blame because he's the coach. He's got
Yeah,
to prepare the team and figure out what is going to be the best way to try and win and also keep the guys safe.
yeah,
But also at the same time, though, that this also just goes to show a little bit that Justin Fields still might need some time to continue to
yeah,
develop. Sorry, one second. To continue to develop as well, and I just think that him sitting behind Andy Dalton, I think, is the right decision. There might be things. I'm
yeah.
sure there were things that he missed, and audibles, play adjustments, not getting
Hmm.
hit as many times.
Moving the protection to the right side of the field. Just there's small things like that I just don't think Justin Fields is fully caught up on yet, and it's really hard for a rookie to come in at any level. I think all 5
Oh
rookie
yeah,
quarterbacks taken in the first round, I mean, have a long way to go, like a
oh
long way to
yeah,
go.
absolutely,
And so,
absolutely.
uh, and so I personally I expected it. It does not mean Justin Fields is a bust. It does not mean
No,
uh, that like the Chicago Bears should move on. I think it means that they need to invest in their offensive line. They need
hmm
to continue to just develop the players that they have, and we'll see where they are uh, come next year. But and I just I everything that we've kind of said about Justin Fields so far has I don't say come true, but it's just uh, it is just what we expected. We expected him to struggle. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it's just struggle and with a team like the Bears who have enough talent to make the playoffs as they did last year when they were in shambles,
yeah,
it's highly beneficial to start the veteran quarterback when he is healthy in this situation.
yeah, no, definitely,
So if
yeah.
the Bears and we said this, if the Bears were like the Jets and the Jaguars last year, if they were the third overall pick, so to say, and they
Mhm.
were in full rebuild mode, new coach, new GM, just like those two teams. Absolutely 100% start Justin Fields, in my opinion. But the Bears, as I
Yeah,
said, they can make the playoffs. This NFC is weak, and they have a good defense. Even though I think I need to check up on Khalil Mack. I saw that he was walking off the field and into the locker room.
yeah,
I need to double check to see what his status is. But even then, they still have a solid defense outside of that. So it,
yeah,
this is good learning opportunity, I think, for Fields and experience. I should say it is going to be the big thing for him to learn or to learn from. But
yeah.
uh, moving on to the last thing, I think that we both expected, and we talked about this a lot when we were doing our season previews of all the teams, and we got some slack for one of the teams that is in last place in the NFC West. But we knew going in that this NFC West division is probably going to be one of the toughest divisions to go into. And and to
Yeah.
win, and it's proven that exactly. The Los Angeles Rams, I mean, say what you want. I thought they easily handled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they showed a lot of
Yeah.
flaws and a lot of ways to beat the Buccaneers and Tom Brady, and they looked professional. I mean
Yeah.
that Tom Brady offense can put up points, and they knew that they were going to lose some battles, but they were like, we're just going to keep sticking at it, and they shut that offense
Yeah.
down, especially in
Yeah.
the first half. But Matt Stafford and that offense looks great. Cardinals are undefeated. 49ers were 37 seconds away from also being undefeated. But I mean, you lose to the Packers. A lot of teams are going to lose to the Packers
Yeah.
this year. So
Yeah.
we
And that,
expected
that
this to
week one
happen.
game for the Packers against the Saints was a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
It this division. This division, so since the wild card rules were changed, this division could actually have all 4 teams make the playoffs. I think
Potentially.
I think the only thing that is going to keep this division from doing that is the fact that every team in this division is so good that they're just going to knock each other down. And
Potentially.
so for me, the Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams are all
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say Super Bowl contenders because it's week 3, but those are all teams that could legitimately make a late season playoff push. And the Seahawks are always a wild card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you always don't know how they're going to finish out the season, especially with Russell Wilson. They can go in and beat anybody at any time.
Yeah.
And while they have started out 1-2, and we did somewhat expect the Seahawks to kind of move to the bottom of the division, again they can still beat anybody at any time. And the other 3 teams, I mean, as we've seen,
Mm-hmm.
are tops in the league. So you did tell me something interesting about the Seahawks defense before the show that I just kind of want to touch on.
Yeah.
If you want to go ahead and just share that stat with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So now this is contingent on the Monday night game. So, but we get a lot of slack from the Seattle fan base on our season review, and I still kind of stick by it. And this kind of proves it to me, at least. They are currently right now ranked last in yards per game. Now, I said that is contingent on the Cowboys Eagles game, and both of those defense, especially the Cowboys defense, can give up some yards. But they are last in yards allowed per game, and then when it comes to points allowed per game, they are up there. Let me see. Sorry, this is lagging a little bit, but this is one of the issues though. And as we saw, they blew a lead against Tennessee, and their defense cracked. And then up against Minnesota, who has a solid defense. I would say has a solid defense. They got up early, but then
Yeah.
their offense, they kept getting after Russell Wilson. They just weren't able to move the ball at any point after that. Seattle is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th. They're looking like they are in the low 20s, 21st, I think, and points allowed per game. So like it is week 3, so some of these statistics can be a little volatile depending on which teams you played. But still, I think this is going to be a continued trend indicating that
Yeah.
the Seattle defense is going to have to rely on putting up a lot of points to win games, and their offense really isn't built for that. Their offensive line is still weak, and as teams start to see game film and they start to prepare, and other teams get into a rhythm, I think Seattle's going to have a really tough time to stay in the win, to stay with a positive, or to stay with a winning record, so to say. And the other teams, they don't have that issue,
and that's one thing
they're
too.
more well rounded. Sorry, the other teams in the NFC West.
So that's one thing too. I know it's only week. Yeah. Well, but so one of the things I want to add to that too is Seattle itself hasn't even played a division game yet. So they don't. Granted, I don't think any of these teams in this division have. But I mean, again, like I said earlier, they're going to be playing against. They have 6 games against top tier teams in the NFL. So and especially top tier teams that are solid in the trenches. It's not like any of these teams are a high flying team that I think are weaker, that are not. Sorry, I think all 3 of these teams in the division are better in the trenches than Seattle. in a lot of
But 100%.
definitely
That's
two of the three teams, like the Rams and 49ers, their defensive line is so much better than their offensive line.
yeah, yeah. The only team is the Cardinals. I think are the one that I think are better than Seattle, but they're going to have they're not going to have as
Much
difficult
closer,
of
but
a time. Yeah,
yeah,
it's much closer. Chandler Jones and
yeah,
JJ Watt obviously are going to be leading the way. But still, that Arizona offense, though, they can put up points at will. They only time they don't put up points is when they make mistakes. Like Kyler Murray made a horrible decision in the first half. Like they should have blown away the Jaguars, and they did end up
yeah,
doing that. But they had the kick six. But then Kyler Murray made a horrible decision while they were moving the ball, try to throw the ball into double or triple coverage to DeAndre
yeah.
Hopkins in the first half, turned it into a pick, and it was just a horrible decision. And if Kyler Murray can limit those, there's no reason why that offense can't score every single time. I can't say that
Yeah.
about Seattle nearly as much. They have some clear weaknesses. They have a lot of good skill players, but similar to what we were talking about with Justin Fields and how he got sacked 9 times, if you have a decimated offensive line, you're not going to be able to put up points. So we kind of expected this going in. I'm curious to kind of see how this continues to develop, especially if Seattle keeps trending downward. Especially with their loss to the Vikings, that I think a lot of people would have thought that Seattle would have handled the Vikings, but we're going to get to this Vikings team here in an upcoming episode. But
yeah,
the Vikings are legit. They are 1-2 right now, but they are very formidable. They're going to be a tough team to beat for anyone.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I don't want to harp too much on the Vikings just because they're not on our agenda for today, but they're 1-2, but their point differential was 4 points. Coming out of those two games, it was 4 points. Yeah, 2 last-second field goals. So one went the way for the other team, and they just missed the other one. So
and also in their Week 1 game, Dalvin Cook doesn't fumble on the Bengals side of the field in overtime. Bengals don't even have an opportunity to kick the game-winning field goal. So that's where a couple of breaks their way. But I agree with you. Focus on the NFC West. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think the Rams are legit contenders. And we knew that going in already. But now we can see that defense is legit. That offense, Matt Stafford now is in a groove with all those receivers, especially him and Cooper Kupp.
That offensive line looks good.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And they don't even have a running back. They had their 3rd or 4th string running back out there. So
actually, that's a part of the game I think is going to improve for the Rams. Because Sony Michel got there mid-August.
Yeah.
So I think as Sony Michel gets in there more, I think that part of the game is really only going to improve as he just kind of gets more into a rhythm. So the Rams are scary, and what they did to the Bucs, the Bucs have the most. I don't know if they have the best offense, but they have the most talented offense. I think if you look at that offense on paper, they beat everybody across the league, and the Rams defense manhandled them.